Hi, everybody. Thanks for being on. So it's summertime. Things aren't as consistent as I would like them to be. So thanks you guys for hopping on and getting on this call. Um, Welcome to all my Israeli community getting on at 9 o'clock at night, and for all of us in America getting on at 12 in the afternoon, midsummer day. So my kids are all happy to be cool inside watching a movie right now while we work. Yeah, yay for movies. Um, so Celestia is joining me. A lot of you may be familiar with her from our past guest talks. And so I'm going to let her introduce herself, but she's a peer of mine, a partner in doTERRA, a partner in just bettering ourselves as women and helping other women do the same in the most natural plant-based way that we can. And today specifically, we're going to be talking about women's health and hormone balancing, and kind of keeping it somewhat general today. We can go into more specifics of, premenopause, postmenopause, even more challenging things that may come up with our health and how to work through it as women. But we're going to just talk about kind of a general healthy routine to keep your hormones in balance. And my name is Kara Blattman-Rock. I'm the founder of doTERRA in Israel. I'm a yoga teacher, an Ayurvedic educational teacher, and just all around, just bettering my health and helping women to better their health in the safest, most effective way. And my love for plants and yoga and essential oils. So I'm going to turn it over to Celestia to introduce herself and give a little bit of background, and then we'll get started. Celestia.
Hello. Hi, Kara. Thank you so much for having me and for arranging this. And hello, all the friends who could join us today, both live and for replays. I'm really excited to be here. So as Kara mentioned, my name is Celestia French. I have many years experience in the health and wellness field, both as a yoga therapist and a holistic wellness coach consultant, specializing in women's health, and also just a huge proponent of leading a healthy lifestyle with as much of a plant-based foundation as possible. I think that there is so much wisdom in nature, and I really approve of and love to promote just how to have the most nature-based lifestyle as possible. Because I feel like, and doTERRA says this all the time, nature knows what to do with nature. And so I'm really passionate about helping, my clients to attain and maintain their health and well-being using lifestyle and nutrition and essential oils as much as possible. So I am honored to be here, and I really look forward to talking with you all.
Yeah. So I'm going to do the introduction to essential oils. Just for almost everybody on the call is familiar with essential oils. You're using them, but just to remind you of the foundation of how they came about and how our body uses them. And just a little quick introduction of I've been using essential oils for, I want to say 10 to 12 years now. And never really thought I would be an essential oil junkie, guru, expert. I always saw people with a bunch of essential oils in their bathrooms and homes, and always thought that was a little bit strange. And now it's me.
Totally.
My mantra is always never, right? I was always like, what? Why do you have so many essential oils? But my mantra, and I'm always continuously reminded of it, don't judge a book by its cover, really get to know what's going on and really understand. And so I was introduced to essential oils about 12 years ago when I had my first baby. It was 2 years old, and I was pregnant with my second baby, and had already graduated from the Ayurvedic Institute and had my yoga teacher training, and also a background in occupational therapy, a little more traditional, and just was like, all right, now second baby's on the way. How do I work with my babies in a natural way that's effective and safe? So I was introduced to essential oils at that point, and loved the feedback and the safety and the effectiveness of essential oils for children's health. And then I started to just explore more with the essential oils for myself and my health, always really wanting to expand and thrive and just feel as the best I can in a natural way. And my main thing was, once I was going on my third baby, it was like emotional health, hormone health. Those are the things that I really need to focus on. And the essential oils has helped me in so much in that way, emotional health and hormone health, and how much they're related, right? So just the introduction to what an essential oil is. It's all plants carry these little micro sacs on their leaves or somewhere in the plant's body, and that's the essential oil of the plant. So like lavender, for example, is in the flower, mint is in the leaf, frankincense is in the sap that comes from the tree, cinnamon's in the bark. So it's a piece of the plant that produces this essential oil. And so when you go to grab the rosemary plant, to grab a sprig of it, you're popping those little saccules on the needles of the rosemary plant, and that's what you smell on your hands. And plants produce them. It's like their everything system. It's their protective system. It keeps them alive and thriving and healthy. It keeps them from being invaded by critters and bugs and insects, but also microorganisms, microbacteria, funguses, viruses, um, and and keeps them like healthy and strong and living. And so I always say this over and over again, we're like walking, talking plants. And so our physiological systems work just like a plant. And so Mother Nature has given us essential oils to then use them for ourselves, to either smell them, and then it affects the nervous system and the brain very quickly, to apply them so that it enters into the skin system and goes right into the blood system, or we can ingest them, if they're a safe and effective and pure essential oil like doTERRA, and then that really affects more of the digestive and the internal organ system. And so those are the three ways that you use essential oils. The most powerful way to use an essential oil is smelling it. And that's why purity for us is so important. doTERRA is certified pure therapeutic grade. They start from a very organic starting system, but then they have so many more tests beyond organic certification, because the purity is important, how effective it's going to be, where it's grown, where it's harvested, all plays into how its chemical constitutes are therapeutic and effective in really making a healing response in the body. So essential oils is really my family's entire, almost exclusive, preventative and health care that we use in the home, because they are just so effective and safe. And so today we're going to specifically talk about the topic of hormonal health. We're going to talk about the oils that we use for that, but also the bigger picture of nutrition. And since we're both yoga therapists, some yoga that also helps with balancing hormones. So I'm going to turn it over to Celestia. She's going to take the big portion of this presentation tonight, and I'm so excited.
Well, here's hoping it that my
Just
words
hoping
are
it goes well.
Cheers, salud.
Cheers.
Yes, so indeed. So I think that, Kara, I really appreciate you talking a little bit about your essential oil journey, and especially as it relates to hormones, because I have a similar story. I have 2 kids, not 4, but definitely a similar, just my hormones were really out of balance for a long time, and that caused some problems with my fertility. And so I used nutrition, lifestyle, and essential oils to get my fertility back in balance. And then absolutely essential oils and all of those other factors that we'll discuss were really critical during my prenatal and postpartum care. So they are just, I really echo the sentiment about how effective all of these modalities are, and what a wonderful modality essential oils can be to help with hormonal balance. And before I dive into anything else, I just wanted to say, if anybody has any questions, specific questions, they can just pop them into the chat box, and Kara and I will try to address those as we move through.
Mhm.
And again, also, this is really kind of just an overall general overarching women's health and hormonal balance talk, because wow, hormone balance can be kind of a complicated topic. And, there are so many specific areas pertaining to women's health and hormone health that we won't have time to dive into today. But definitely, I feel like you will walk away with just some tools if you feel like your hormones may be out of balance, and also just like if you really feel like something is off, or like major hormonal balance, definitely to seek out your health practitioner of choice to dive in more deeply to your specific needs. But to begin,
Or
I'd like
reach
to
out
just,
to either of us privately also, and we can kind
of
of go more
course.
specifically. Mhm.
And you can reach out to me here. You can, if you want my email address, I can pop it into the chat box. But also, Instagram DMs are a really, really great way to reach me. That's probably the easiest. So we'll put our contact information if you have specific questions that maybe aren't so shareable, because some of this is really personal stuff too, understandably. So
Right.
first, let's just talk a little bit about what hormones are, right? Because I think it's sort of like with the essential oils, there's so much to them and they're kind of mysterious, but let's try to demystify what our hormones are a little bit. So basically, they're the chemical messengers that are secreted directly into our blood, which carries them to different organs and tissues of the body to exert their function. So there are a lot of different types of hormones that act differently within our bodily functions and processes, including our growth and development, our metabolism, our sexual function and reproductive growth and health, our cognitive function, and mood. Just
Yeah,
saying, for sure.
mood.
And then just maintenance of body temperature and thirst. And so you can tell pretty easily if you feel like your hormones are out of balance, because you might experience certain symptoms such as irritability, digestive problems, food cravings, excessive sweating, fatigue, loss of muscle mass can actually be something that can happen if you have a hormone imbalance, pretty specific hormone imbalance. Also, things like weight gain for no particular reason. And low libido. Those are just some of the very many. Also, headaches. I mean, there are tons of different symptoms that can be a cause of hormone imbalance. But maintaining our hormone balance is really a lifelong process that is founded in the development and really inclusion of healthy lifestyle habits. And so luckily there's a lot to keep a lot that we can do as individuals to keep our hormones in check and balanced throughout the various times in our lives, because especially as women, there are so many times in our lives where our hormones fluctuate, puberty, obviously, prenatal care, postpartum depression or postpartum time. Not everybody who has babies has depression afterwards, but it can be common for some women. And then
Celestia,
also
someone
perimenopause.
asked if you could speak up just a
Sure,
little bit louder. Mhm.
sure. Let's see. Can you hear me a little bit better now? I just turned
Yeah,
on my, okay, is that a little better?
that's
Okay,
good.
thank you. And please let me know if something else is amiss. Thank you. So there, let me just go back to my little handout sheet here. So a lot of things that can cause hormonal imbalance are things like a bad diet, unhealthy habits such as excessive smoking or drinking, sleep deprivation. Holy moly, in my postpartum years, I just, oh my gosh, totally non-functional because of just the sleep deprivation part of things. Chronic stress, which I think especially after this last year and a half in particular, for so many of us, chronic stress is a real thing that really does need to be addressed to, obviously embody our overall health and well-being, but specifically with regards to hormone balance. Let's see here. Just a little note specifically on stress and chronic stress. As we said, there are a lot of different types of hormones and hormonal functions within our bodies. But I'm going to talk probably the most about cortisol, because cortisol is our stress hormone. And since so many people, especially right now, have been so stressed for so long, it can cause a cascade of negative effects that can have an effect on all of your other hormonal symptoms. It can kind of throw everything else out of whack. So I'm just going to take a little quick breather and talk specifically about cortisol and our nervous system, because our nervous system can help dictate the cortisol production or the other hormonal or other hormone production, that basically so many of us are living in kind of a fight or flight mode right now. And what our nervous system can do is, like, we need the fight or flight mode. We need, that is something that just in order to survive, that is something like we need to be able to, fight, flee, or for the rest of the time when we're not in fight or flight mode, it's important for us to be able to get into our rest and relax mode. And that's really what my job here today is to help us get out of that and into our rest and relax mode, so that our hormones can stay in balance and kind of help to mitigate that cortisol release, to help our other hormones to function properly, so that we're not constantly like everything is imploding and nothing is okay mode, and kind of get back into, okay, I'm okay, my body is working, my mind is working, I feel pretty good, or great, hopefully, if if we really put the work in and do all the things. So a few things that we can do to bring our cortisol into balance and get into our parasympathetic nervous system. And again, this is our rest, relax response, our opportunity for our bodies to heal themselves and to feel that good sense of well-being, basically, is you'd be really surprised at, like, the first thing on my list is actually gentle to moderate exercise. Exercise is one of the most important things we can do to keep our, and not over exercise. I want to be really, really clear about this, but gentle to moderate exercise, moving your body at least a few times a week, getting a good sweat a few times a week, but even just to take a stroll for a few minutes every day can be amazingly helpful and healthful for our hormones. But also nutrition. And I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about nutrition as a method of creating healthy hormones, because when we have a balanced diet, it's extremely important for our hormonal health. But specifically focusing on good sources of quality protein, we know whether you are a vegetarian or a vegan or not, just finding good sources of protein that are good for your body, because that helps to feed the literal building blocks of our body. We need protein, but it also helps to maintain blood sugar levels, which also is very interconnected with our hormone health. Also things like healthy fat, vitally important for our hormones. And I'll talk a little bit about examples of each of these here in a moment. Let's see here. Oh, and also just a little note about protein. Protein and fat can also help control our hormones for appetite and hunger. So really important to make sure that you're getting enough protein and good fats. So that way, like, if you, and this was me for a very long time, especially postpartum, just making sure that you're getting enough protein and fat to maintain your hormones that are specific to the hunger cues. And also just maintaining getting lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, if your body tolerates them. Essentially just getting back to the basics, eating fresh, minimally processed foods as often as possible, as many meals as the day as possible, and including at each meal opportunity, whether that's a snack or an actual meal, but trying to include a balance of protein, healthy fats, and fiber is also another important one. So just a few examples of something like that. Either like a piece of fruit, like an apple with nut butter is a really good example. You've got some protein and good fat in the nut butter, and then some good fiber in that fruit. Also, like hard-boiled eggs with some olive oil and maybe some veggies, or like hummus and veggies are really good options. Smoothies are wonderful if you make sure to add a good source of protein in there, whether it's a protein powder, or you can use things like hemp seeds are a great source of protein. Nut butters, peanut butter, those are all really good sources of protein and fat. So those are just some really easy go-to snacks that are great for keeping your hormones in balance and not letting your blood sugar do one of these, because that can totally throw off your hormones.
Yeah, I'm going to interject two things to add to that is so the doTERRA vegan protein powder, I love that protein powder because it's not whey or soy based. It has some really good, like, amaranth and a bunch of really beautiful plant-based proteins that are in that. And then they also specifically for cortisol, bringing down cortisol levels in the body, they have ashwagandha in that protein powder. And there was a whole talk on that at the Ayurvedic Institute, and then also in a doTERRA convention, how that ashwagandha will really help to bring down cortisol levels, and that there's a place that you store extra cortisol, and it's around the belly. So oftentimes when people feel like you're doing all the right things, you're exercising, you're eating right, but you still can't get rid of that little spare tire, that belly fat, it's usually related to stress. So, doing those things to bring down stress, but also you will release the cortisol with the ashwagandha that's in that protein powder. And then they talked about lavender every day in your routine, just taking a drop of lavender, and you could use it with a coconut oil because sometimes lavender can be sensitive to the skin. A drop of lavender diluted and put it around your belly button. And that helps to release, there's little receptor sites for that cortisol in the adipose tissue, and it helps to release the cortisol. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to hop in when you're talking about certain things with the oils or the doTERRA products that we recommend. So, and maybe people can tell me, the vegan protein powder is available in the US. Is it available in Israel and Europe again, Hannah? Do you know? Okay, I'll look into that and let you guys know. But lavender is one of the lifestyle oils that you want always, and then specifically related to hormones and releasing cortisol, 1 drop diluted, rub it around your belly. You only have to do it once a day. And so choose, like, if it's at first thing in the morning after your shower, or is it right before you go to bed? Just get it in there routinely and consistently.
Yes, and thank you so much, Kara. Always feel free to interject anytime. Holler, holler.
Okay.
And just a couple, maybe we'll just talk a little bit about lavender right now since we brought it up, because it really.
Speak up a little bit, because now I don't hear you so much.
This is weird. I don't know.
Or it went down.
Is it better now? Can you still hear me okay?
Yeah, that's better. Yes.
Very bizarre. Who knows? It's a Mercury retrograde thing. I think we're just about to get Mercury retrograde, thank goodness. Yeah, so with regards to lavender, that is one of the most widely used essential oils specifically for hormone balance, and especially with regards to stress relief, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute, and also for sleep, which is my next lifestyle item here that I'll talk about in a second. But it can really help with all types of emotional distress. So it's definitely very widely used for anxiety, depression, can really help to reduce those symptoms. Also really helpful for reducing menopausal symptoms for those who are going through that, like hot flashes and headaches and night sweats. And definitely very powerful to help with things like mood swings or even menstrual cramps. And so that's just a little bit about the magic of lavender and why we like to use it, definitely for hormone balance and ways to use it for hormone balance. So like Kara said,
your volume just totally went away. It sounds like something went on your microphone.
Really? That is, I have no.
Now that's off. That's good.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, this is very bizarre. There's nothing even on my computer, so thank you. Sorry about that.
You just gotta lean in now from now on.
Gotta lean in. That's okay. So I'm just gonna be like super bug eye girl. Hi.
Yeah.
That's okay. Here, you know what? Maybe I'll do this. So I don't look like quite such a bug. So then let's go ahead and talk a little bit about sleep. Sleep is vitally important for hormonal balance. And usually for most people, an average of, it's kind of a wide average, but between 7 and 9 hours. Some people just need less sleep and some people just need more, but usually 8 hours is a pretty standard baseline, enough sleep to let your body repair and renew itself and keep your hormones in check. And again, lavender is an extremely powerful essential oil for that. It's, I think, doTERRA's #1 oil for sleep, like besides Serenity, obviously. And then, and do you have anything to add specifically, Kara, about sleep or hormone balance or essential oils?
Yeah, so I feel like sleep has always been, I've been gifted with good sleep, thank God. And I see it in kind of all my family members and my kids as well. So there might be a little genetic component to that for sure. But as I've gotten like past 45, um, I've noticed that my sleep is not as smooth as it was when I was younger. And I know that that's a perimenopausal kind of thing. So I've been experimenting with what's the best formula for me. And sandalwood, it's not a cheap oil, but it just will knock you on your butt as far as sleep goes. And so and it's so great for the face too. So I just take a little drop in my fingers, like a full drop, which it takes about like 15 minutes to get a full drop out of the bottle. It moves so slowly. And I just apply it to the center of my forehead and down onto my temples. And this is right as I'm entering into bed, and just smell the sandalwood as I'm lying in bed. And of course, it makes sense because sandalwood is been used in many ancient traditions for meditation and calming of the mind and letting go of external rapid thinking patterns, and being able to really just calm down and get you more into that kind of REM state as you start to go there, just thinking about it. Ah, um, yeah, sandalwood. And then the other product that I really am like a big fan of is the Serenity capsules that you take. I think it recommends taking it 1 to 2 30 minutes before bed. And on the nights that I don't take it, I really notice a difference. And that's how I learn. Like when I don't take it, then I say, oh, yeah, that stuff really works. Because when I didn't take it, I can't sleep. And then when I take it, and the idea is that this takes you into that deeper REM state. You'll stay asleep. If you have to get up to go to the bathroom or do something in the middle of the night, you can go back to sleep. So those are my two things. Serenity, of course, in the diffuser is great, but I'm not always consistent at doing that before bed. So the two that I'm consistent with is sandalwood on my temples and smelling it, and then taking the Serenity capsules, which I'm out. I have it on order. Yeah. And those are just, I think, just ideal. I teach yoga at 6 a.m. in the morning, so I have to get up at 5. And yeah, I take this every night before that because it just keeps me like super deep sleep. And then you wake, and the idea is that then you wake up feeling super rested and with energy and not drowsy because you were shifting in and out of sleep all night.
That's awesome. I really couldn't agree more. The other thing that I actually just started taking the Serenity gel caps before bed, and I attribute that, and I've had the opportunity to soak in our local hot springs a lot lately. But that 1-2
Yeah.
punch combo of soaking in some kind of healing water, if you can, take a bath with a couple drops of lavender or Serenity and take the Serenity capsules before bed. And I mean, you can feel your tissues just taking a sigh of relief and just, oh my goodness, I completely echo that, Kara. I've slept so much better taking the Serenity capsules. I had no idea how powerful those
Right.
could be. And
I know,
but also
me either. I
waking
was
up,
like,
I don't
okay,
feel good
cute.
when I wake up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm still sleepy and groggy. Yeah, I wake up feeling ready to face the day. And the Serenity capsules are magic in a bottle for sleep, most
Totally.
definitely.
I remember they first came out with those. I was like, oh, that's
And
cute. And like didn't like even take it
yeah,
seriously at first. And then I was like, I better try those. And then I tried them and I was like, those are so effective. Yeah.
total game changer for me too,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
And now, if you want, we can go ahead and move on to a little bit of yoga that is specifically good for hormone balance. And again, since we're specifically kind of addressing like cortisol and stress hormones, I thought we could just focus on yoga for stress relief specifically. The postures specifically for those are, and this is based on all the yoga therapy training that I've taken, are both gentle inversions and forward folds. And so a couple different things to be careful of, like if you have glaucoma or super low blood pressure anyway, maybe steer clear, email or message me or Kara, and maybe we can offer you some other ideas or guidelines. But both forward folds and gentle inversions can be extraordinarily helpful for hormone balance. and getting us again out of that fight or flight response and into more rest and relaxed frame of mind. So just a couple examples of those are literally, and I'm sorry I can't demonstrate. Maybe that's something we can try next time, Kara, is like I'll just set myself up in a little kind of yoga studio-ish and be able to demonstrate some of this. But just standing with your feet about hip width distance apart, taking a gentle bend in the knees, and just like literally melting your head forward, letting your whole body drape forward, and taking as deep a bend in the knees as feels good, because you don't want to, hurt your hamstrings or anything. But just staying there and breathing, maybe stretching one hamstring and the other, and just kind of letting yourself hang forward like a rag doll for 5 to 10 breaths can have a huge effect in your hormonal balance. And then you can even do that seated, where you're in like a seated forward fold, extending your legs out in front of you, and again just taking a gentle bend in the knees to protect your hamstrings. Maybe taking a bolster or a pillow, putting it on your lap, and just forward folding that way. That's another really nice way to get that gentle forward folding effect that can be really restorative. Kara, do you have anything else to add about specifically forward folds?
I was like, and then you put sandalwood on while you're doing that.
And then you pass out for half an hour, which is totally cool. Cat nap.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
amazing.
totally doing that this afternoon. That sounds so good. I'm like sandalwood, a little serenity, and a forward fold. Good night.
Right. And also, I mean, for as far as like falling asleep at night, if that's challenging for you, I mean, what we just recommended, the serenity capsules and the sandalwood, and also like it's called reverse shavasana, where you're lying on your belly with your head supported on your fingertips, and then just breathing and feeling the breath go into your back, like you're breathing your back, takes you into that parasympathetic nervous system response, where you're just calming down and shutting down and quieting down. And that's a good, it's not necessarily a forward fold, but you kind of are like inverted, you're facing the planet versus always moving forward. Yeah.
Love it.
That's a good one. Okay. What else you got on your list?
Sure. And then the other one is the gentle inversion. So my favorite, and again, to be used with caution if you've got like eye issues, like glaucoma or already super low blood pressure. But my favorite yoga posture, aside from Shavasana, which we'll talk about again in a second too, is legs up the wall. In Sanskrit, it's called Viparita Karani, and it's where you are literally laying with your back on the ground and your feet up the wall like this. And you can even kind of invert it a little bit so it doesn't have to be right up against the wall if that doesn't feel comfortable. But that is definitely one of the most relaxing yoga postures, and also extraordinarily effective for hormone balance. And I like to stay there for 5, 10, even a little bit longer minutes. Your toes can start to get a little tingly after a while, but just such a powerful posture. But another one, if you don't feel like doing the full legs up the wall, is bridge pose, where you lay on your back and you can stack a yoga block right underneath your sacrum. So your feet are bent, your feet are on the floor, your knees are bent, and then you just stack a little block right underneath your back or your sacrum. It's got to be in just the right spot, or it can feel kind of funny on your back. But even just that gentle inversion can also feel really good and get you into that parasympathetic response. And then the last posture, and Kara already talked about reverse shavasana, but is just shavasana. Getting to lay in corpse pose for 5, 10, 15 minutes is extremely helpful, just to get your nervous system calm, relaxed, and into that parasympathetic nervous response. So if you're not familiar with yoga or with shavasana or corpse pose, it's basically just laying on your back with your feet. Let me think about this, about hip width distance apart, letting your arms just gently drape out to your sides, and finding as neutral a posture in your body as feels good. You just want to find that exactly right sweet spot laying on your back, and just being there for, yep, there you go. Thank you.
So this is bridge. That's bridge. And then it's a little bit of an elevated shavasana, but
oh my gosh, I would go
delicious.
take a nap with a little sandalwood and my pillow. Good night.
You're done. Just so don't start. That looks amazing.
Yeah,
There's
shavasana.
Don't start the day that way. And then there's your bridge. I mean, actually, you could start your day that way as well. And there's bridge.
No, we should actually do a class on energy boosters. I think that would be a fun class topic to address.
That would.
But yeah,
That
thank
would.
you so much for the visual, Kara. That's extremely helpful. I don't know if it's easy to pull one up of Viparita Karani or legs up the wall. If you can, that
Yeah,
would be
I'll
amazing.
do that.
Yeah, and are there any other yoga postures specifically that you want to talk about, Kara? And I'll wait till you're done with looking for that picture. But are
No,
there
I think the ones that you covered are good. Let's see, let me just share real quick. Oops. Legs up the wall with a bolster under your tush.
Yep, right there.
Or it could just be a pillow.
Pillow, or even a rolled up blanket too, just right underneath your sacrum or tush, can also just provide a nice little gentle lift. And there's something about having like a little bit of pressure on your sacrum that can feel really relaxing.
Yeah. So that's, and then, and we've also, there's one where instead of legs straight up the wall, it could be on a couch or a chair. So your calves are supported by the chair. And that's a really great way to release the hips and just, and if your hamstrings are super tight and you don't want to work on like lengthening hamstrings and being tortured, you could just bend the knees and put them on a chair. Oh, here, like this picture here is kind of showing it at a bent angle.
Right, at a bent
but
angle.
It's even more relaxing if the legs were like on a chair or on a couch or on a bed, so that you're not really doing any work.
Right. Yeah. I love that. All of these are making me so relaxed right now. I think it's funny. The pictures of yoga is making me very relaxed.
Right.
Yes. And also Happy Baby. That's a great one, Simone. Thank you for adding that. Happy Baby. I don't know if it's easy to check out a picture of Happy Baby.
Yeah, for sure.
That's one of my Ananda Balasana in Sanskrit, one of my other favorite yoga poses. Again, I think it's just that gentle pressure on the sacrum that just feels so good, and that little gentle inversion. And there was another question: being on a ketogenic diet, routine lifestyle, would taking Serenity gel drop internally spike insulin, or do they have caloric value? I think that the other ingredients aside from like the essential oils might be olive oil. There's Happy Baby. Oh, so good. I like to gently roll around too, like on your left side to your right side. That feels so good. You can give yourself like a little gentle back massage too while in that position. So good. But to answer
in the Serenity, it's
is it olive oil?
It's olive oil, exactly, olive oil, and then non-GMO modified cornstarch. There is a glycerin.
Yeah, I don't know if the capsule maybe would have any insulin spike.
There's no caloric,
right?
No caloric calories in it at all.
Oh,
and there's no sugar. There's no calories. So there's no sugar. It's only the supplemental facts is just how many milligrams of the plants that are in it, and they don't have any calories or caloric value.
And so, and the second part of that question is, could Serenity and or lavender have a positive effect if applied around the navel? Absolutely, yes. So if you don't want to take the Serenity capsules, then you could certainly, I think, have a very powerful effect with the Serenity or lavender rubbed around the belly, like Kara had discussed earlier.
Right, and there's two other oils that I feel are really good for hormone balancing and just part of your daily routine that we could speak about. And I don't know if we can fit into what you're going to be talking about next, but Whisper and Clary Calm.
Exactly. I was actually just about to move into the essential oils specifically for hormone balance. So perfect timing.
Okay, great.
Do you want to talk about either or first?
Sure. So Clary Calm, I started using it, I think, once I hit like mid 30s, I want to say. I didn't use it up until then at all because I just didn't feel I had a very kind of regular menstrual cycle and not a lot of any discomfort or problems around it. But then around 35, I think I started, or I think it was even later than that because maybe it was closer to 40s, I started to get irregularity in my menstrual cycles and pain. Like I never actually experienced pain as a teenager, and I started getting it as a middle-aged adult. And the Clary Calm really showed its effectiveness when I I would just use it one time a day, a swipe around the belly button as recommended, and smell after I rub it in, smell what's left on my hands, because it's important to take it in aromatically. And it just regulated my cycle. Within the first month, my cycle was back into regulation, where it was like 28-day cycle, and there was no discomfort. And I moved in and out of the time of blood, and then out of the time of blood very easily, without the emotional and the tension, the muscle tension build up. And that was from the Clary-Calm. And really, it's recommended that it's not used like in the moment. You use it preventatively every day to keep you in this. And I think that I am a firm believer that if you're on this clear cycle, this 28-day cycle, as we are meant to be as women, that's a pretty good indication of hormone balance. Yeah, and consistency. And then now that I'm, 48, almost 49, going into perimenopausal, and the Whisper combined with the Clary-Calm also has a bunch of the hormone balancing oils in it. I need the oils for my vision also, so that I can read the label. I actually have to take my glasses off so that I can see what's in it. But in the Whisper, it's patchouli, sandalwood, bergamot, vanilla, rose, jasmine, cinnamon, vetiver, ylang-ylang, labdanum. So ylang, I'm surprised there's not geranium in that, but you're getting that in the Clary-Calm. And so, these oils that are calming for the nervous system, calming for the mind, but also there's a straight hormone balancer like ylang-ylang, sandalwood, bergamot, jasmine, cinnamon, all those are. So it's just giving you, and those aren't in the Clary-Calm. So it's just like kind of giving you every hormonal oil you can think of in these two, right? And you just apply them around your belly. I do it first thing in the morning together. First I do the Clary-Calm, rub it in, then I do the Whisper, rub it in. It's a divine smelling combination. Like, you're just like, wow, life is good after you smell those two.
I hadn't tried that combo. I am super excited to try that.
Yeah, because Clary-Calm by itself is sometimes a little medicinal smelling and somewhat strong. Whisper is just divine. And so the combination, is like the best perfume you could imagine. And you're rubbing it around your belly and giving yourself belly love. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Well, and just like maybe a quick little kind of side note, just specifically about, because I know that Clary Sage is inside the Clary-Calm, obviously, Clary in the title. But that Clary Sage is one of the most effective essential oils specifically for cortisol reduction. It's like by 36, your cortisol levels by up to 36%. And also just helps with serotonin production, which is another hormone. But it can also, again, got to be careful with like super low blood pressure, but it can also help to reduce blood pressure, help bring on relaxation. It's great to help reduce menstrual cramps. So I actually discovered the benefits of Clary-Calm specifically when I was having some period cramps as well. And I was not using it consistently, but I did find that it helped me to reduce my my menstrual cramps in the heat of the moment, as it were. So I agree completely, Kara, that you should take it daily to just kind of keep everything even keel and keep your hormones balanced. But also it in conjunction with Deep Blue, those are my two favorites for if you're actually just kind of in the moment where you are not feeling so great with regards to period cramps.
Right. So great for like my teenage daughter, like who is like in the throes of period cramps when they come and they're debilitating. So I was doing past tense and Clary-Calm, but it's not as effective. So I'm going to try the Deep Blue and see if that's a better combo for her.
Super helpful, along with like a warm compress. That was extremely helpful and just immediate benefits. I could definitely.
Yeah, they're in Israel, like in every Walgreens. Well, they're not Walgreens, but I forget what they're called now. I've only been away for a year and I'm already forgetting, but those hot water bottles, like everybody has them, right? All Israelis have those hot water bottles. I brought they're not as common here in the States anyways, in the West anyway. So I brought a bunch home with me, like everybody has one. And that's just, you know, putting hot water in those hot water bottles, and they already have a little like casing over it, so you don't even have to wrap it in a towel. And I put that on her after the Clary Calm and the deep, now I'll do Deep Blue since the past tense wasn't her remedy. And that's what I love about essential oils. Let me just take a little side note here, is like sometimes you'll discover that something that we've recommended, probably not on today's talk, because I just feel like all these oils are super effective for what we're talking about, but like we used past tense for her menstrual cramps and that wasn't working for her. And instead of saying, and I help her to say that, instead of saying, oh, essential oils don't work, it's just not the right one for you. And that's the beauty of having more than lavender and melaleuca at home, having a variety of some of these key essential oils, so that if the past tense doesn't work, you can grab the Deep Blue, or if lavender isn't your sleep oil but sandalwood is, or chamomile is, you know, and giving yourself that experience to play around with some other oils, because maybe lavender wasn't the one that worked for you. And that's the beauty of plant-based medicine, is that they're all safe and effective, but some are more effective than others, and finding the remedy that's good for you and your individual physiological body.
Totally
Right.
agree. Mm-hmm.
And there was another thing I was going to say about, I don't know, it'll come to me. So it'll come. It left. What do we use for memory? Okay.
Rosemary. Rosemary is my favorite.
Rosemary, right, exactly. So we have 10 more minutes. Do you have anything else that you want to include, or should we open it up for just some dialogue?
All of the above, sure. I was just going to say two more really lovely essential oils specifically for hormone balance, and it's like with regards to anxiety reduction and kind of cortisol calming oils that are also included in some of these are ylang ylang, like you said. I think it's in Whisper, right?
Yeah, it's in Whisper, and I think it might be in the Clary Calm also. Let me look.
Okay.
Oh, that's what I
like,
wanted. I wanted to read the Clary Calm because it's like an amazing blend of oils. There's a lot: clary sage, lavender, bergamot, Roman chamomile, ylang ylang. So already there's some repeats there from the Whisper, like the bergamot, the ylang ylang, cedarwood, geranium, fennel, carrot seed oil, which, you know, like there's not a single other oil of doTERRA's that has carrot seed oil, palmarosa, and vitex, which is I think from the stem of the grapevine. Vitex, I believe, is from the grapevine. So that's just an amazing blend of oils. And the other thing that I was going to say is clary sage, not to be mistaken for sage. Right? Because sage has so many like contraindications for, like, if you're pregnant or nursing or.
Well, and is that a different, because I know that one has to be very careful, like not use sage at all while pregnant, because that can actually, remember the word, not galactagogue, but it can actually help terminate a pregnancy. So just you're clear from sage, but I was not sure if it's also clary sage specifically that should be avoided also during pregnancy or not. I didn't know if clary sage was the same as any other type of sage that could be problematic in that context.
I know Hannah has something to say.
Sure,
Hannah,
please.
do you have something to say?
Well, just in terms of the clary sage, it's not good for pregnancy until you're ready to give birth. And then
clary sage.
Yeah.
That's what I had been reading.
And yeah, you wouldn't use the clary calm if you're pregnant. Like, there's no reason to use the clary calm while you're pregnant. And the Whisper can be used all through pregnancy. The clary calm also is good to take a break of it, because if you're using it every day, and so I tell my my clients and any of my family members or loved ones that are using it to just, when you actually are bleeding, that's the time to take the break. Like you use it all month long, then you start your actual menses cycle and you're eliminating. Don't use the oil during that time of downward flow. And then when you start to become clear again and not having any menstruation, then you start to use the oil again around your belly button. It's just a kind of a clear way to take a break. Unless but if it really helps because you have premenstrual tension and you have tension around the time of your menstruation, we were recommending using it with the deep blue, with a warm pack on your belly. But you don't usually have that tension the whole time you're bleeding. It's usually like 1 or 2 days, so you could still take a 3 or 4 day break from it.
Thank you for the specificity, because I think that's really helpful. You know, to make sure when to take a little break and when it's really appropriate to use that. You know, with more than just like daily use. I think that's really nice to give people the specifics of when to use and when to avoid. So good to take a break. There were just a couple other individual essential oils that I thought that you've already spoken about, but like if you don't have Whisper or Clary Calm, for example, but want to get some of the more hormone balancing and kind of anxiety reducing essential oils, and the other one that you mentioned already is ylang ylang, which is also, side note, really good for boosting one's libido. So I know that Kara and I were thinking about teaching a class about like libido and sexuality and stuff like that, but really good for boosting sex drive, but also specifically for stress relief. Great for reducing anxiety symptoms. So that was one specific oil. Do you have anything that you'd like to add about ylang ylang, Kara?
You know, that's a daily oil that I use. I think it just smells divine. It's kind of like a less expensive jasmine, I call it, even though it's not cheap. It's still like kind of one of your more valuable oils, but and I love it, and my husband loves it, and it smells amazing on the male chemistry, and he uses it every day too. And it also is for libido boosting for males, which sometimes I'm like, I want to hide the ylang ylang.
Well, it's an aphrodisiac oil as well. So like not only is it
so it's like, could you not put that on today? We need a break.
Oh man, essential oils are pure magic, aren't they?
They are. And like when your man starts getting into them, because like Ishmael's taken, like I've been doing essential oils for 12 years, and I think he's just in the last 2 or 3 years gotten really into having his routine that he does of putting them on, and he has this specific ones that he does every morning, and it's just, and then also every night he has a morning routine and a night routine, and I just never thought I'd see that day, and it's so lovely, and he smells so good.
Yeah, really.
So we'll have a class, maybe he'll help me teach it.
I would love that. That is so cool. Like just men's essential oils.
Yeah. And so the one oil that we did that I would like to include, and it's not necessarily specifically for hormone balancing, but I think it's really good for bringing down stress levels and anxiety, is copaiba. I just like, sometimes there's an oil that comes to me and it's like I call it the oil of the month, because it's like an oil that, like, I see a post about it, somebody asked me about it, this happens with it, that happens with it. So it's like copaiba seems like that's the oil of the month for me. So much has come up around it. I just posted about it in Instagram. And this is an oil that I do, my husband and I both do it every day. We do 3 drops under our tongue, so it's directly going into the blood system and the nervous system, and specifically for nervous system health and bringing down stress levels, and bringing down cortisol, and just, it's really good for your nervous system and keeping it strong and healthy and smooth, and also you know, protecting it from what we do to it every day, and being kind of those busy human beings that take in a lot of information and a lot of stress in the world, and just keeping our systems calm and healthy. So I think copaiba, it's you know, it's not a super expensive oil. It's kind of mid-ranged, and it's just, you know, it's from a tree in the Amazon, so it has high CBD levels in it, which is a real kind of catchphrase in the world right now. CBDs or CBDs, but it's not from the hemp plant. It's from a tree, and it actually has it's Hannah's really good at this, and Dr. Hill's done a lot of talks about how it has higher levels of CBD and cannabinoids than the hemp plant. And then it's not hemp, so like you don't have to run into any kind of hangups around that. If that for some people that they just don't want had to do poor hemp, they just don't want to have anything to do with hemp. Like they think they're gonna get high from copaiba. And I'm like, no, honey, you're not. But your nervous system is gonna be really happy.
Copaiba is another magical oil. So good.
Right, and I was just reading about it today about how it's really good for your complexion and your skin, and I've never put it on topically for my skin specifically. And so I'm excited to just play around with that and see how that is. The other thing that we didn't talk about, and we have 2 minutes, but yarrow palm is also must have some serious hormone balancing qualities to it. I need to research it a little bit more. I use it for my skin, but I've been recently doing a drop on my belly button with that Whisper and Clary Calm mixture, because Nahama Tovi, a good advocate of ours that's in Israel, was talking about how balancing that is for your cycle and everything around it. So I started including that in my routine, and it does, if I feel out of balance, it seems to get me back into balance very quickly. It makes sense. It's yarrow and then pomegranate seed oil. Yeah. Do you have any comments about yarrow palm?
Oh, just that I would drink it daily because I love it.
Yeah, right. Because internally it's great also, right?
I take the yarrow palm capsules, but I love yarrow palm, and I can't say enough about it. I love it for my skin. I use it every night, and I cry when I'm out of it. But I'm gonna try the belly button trick with that and Whisper as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've got a whole new daily belly button hormonal balance protocol now. I'm excited to try. And I just wanted to say really quickly too, the last oil that I wanted to mention anything about, and then we can open it up to any quick questions or comments that anybody has. But that geranium, again, not a super high priced essential oil, but definitely one that belongs in an arsenal, especially with regards to hormone balance, is geranium, because it can actually boost the estrogen levels, especially in menopausal women, but can to stabilize menstrual cycles and or perimenopausal symptoms as well, but just great for reducing anxiety and stress levels, and has even like some antidepressant effects. So it's a really great oil for not only hormonal balance, but also just to relieve and reduce anxiety and stress levels. So that's really all I had to say about anything.
all the oils that we talked about. I have this little kit that sits in my bathroom, and all of the ones we talked about today are in here. Like, because that's like, those are the ones that I reach for and use every day in my morning and evening bathroom routine. So, and then plus, like, look at how cute that little box is. That's like so cute.
Kara, anything else that you wanted to add about geranium, or shall we open it up to, are you ready to open it up for any of
Yeah, let's open it to questions. And if you have to pop off, I can stay on and catch the questions, because I know it's 101, so you have to.
I've got a boogie in about 12 seconds, but does anybody have any questions? Okay. Oh man, what a lovely chat. I'm so happy to see all of your beautiful faces and or names, if I couldn't see your beautiful face, but we really appreciate you taking the time today. And I hope that you found any of this information helpful. And of course, please feel free. I know Kara popped my email in the chat box, so please feel free to email me if you have any specific questions, and or I can be found at Celestia French on Instagram, if that's another way to reach me. And we look forward to our next class. And also,
I have a question.
Yes, great.
Hi. First of all, I've learned a lot, and it's also reinforced some of the stuff that I've been learning myself over the past few months. Can the copaiba be put in a humidifier?
I believe so, Kara.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
Yeah, it doesn't have any other carrier oils or anything that I think would
No, it's
interfere.
pure. The copaiba is pure. I mean, I think that typically it's like I just did a post on it and was researching it, and typically they're recommending its use as internal or topically. There wasn't a lot of recommendations for aromatically, like smelling it. So I think it's just most effective internal use or topically. So I don't know if it would be the most effective in a humidifier.
I see.
And what would be and you're looking at it for the nervous system support?
Yeah, and I'm very glad that you were talking
bless
about the
you.
belly button oiling, because I thought it's supposed to go inside the belly button, but you're saying around it.
Well, so you're going to naturally get some in your belly button. And I know that there's been a whole beautiful article about belly button oiling. Mostly like when we're talking about the cortisol release and hormone receptor sites are actually around the belly button is those receptor sites. Mm-hmm. But the oil, I need to read that article again, but that's kind of more for a deeper penetration into I want to say circulatory system. And when it comes to hormones, you're not going to go wrong either way. But when it comes to hormones, you do definitely want to go around the belly button as well, because those are the receptor sites for a lot of the hormones that we're talking about. And so they talk about the menopausal belly, you know, like as you start to go into perimenopause or menopause, like you get this little belly, and that's just holding on to hormones that you're not needing anymore and you're needing to release. And so like the lavender or the clary calm or the whisper blend that are unique to doTERRA, but lavender or geranium that can be, you know, in other companies is good to apply around the belly button to release any hormones or stress hormones that you're holding on to that's increasing.
And do you have a website where we could possibly order these oils from?
Yeah, for sure. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you on we were messaging this morning, so I'll send you the website.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm so glad you got on, my dear.
Me too. I wish I would have known about you a year ago. Because I've been stocking up on stuff, you know, and I would have rather bought them through you. But I still, you know, I've been taking notes, and I've learned a lot.
Yeah,
Thank
and you
you.
can use we'll speak privately, and you can tell me what oils you have and what company, and I can kind of give you an idea if you know keep using those are great, or start to slowly switch over. I just found that like there are some good companies out there. I just found that doTERRA I feel is one of the best in the world, and they're international, so they can be purchased anywhere in the world, and they're just the science and the research and the education that they put behind their products is the best in the world. And their philosophy is really like certified, pure, potent, therapeutic grade to really get the effects that you want and the safety that you want.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for being on. Does anybody else want to comment or to ask? Everybody else popped off, but thank you all for being on. And I might July is like we're traveling all over New Mexico on family trips, so there might be a break in talks in July, but we have one more for June, and then we'll be back in August for this for this weekly education. So thank you all for being on. I'll be in touch with all of you, and thanks for using essential oils and being part of this beautiful community. Bye.